One thing I will forever regret is never going to see The Emperor's New Groove in theater. But that's a regret that I pretty much share with a lot of people who actually ended up falling in love with this movie after it got released on video. Because, I was 10, I didn't know any better. I guess other things just kind of held my attention. Honestly, I don't even remember seeing any trailers for it. What I do remember definitely are the trailers I saw for the DVD releases. And, that trailer music. And Earth, Wind, and Fire wasn't even on the official soundtrack for the goddamn movie. And yet, it was Earth, Wind, and Fire that sold me on this movie. Let's groove tonight. Share the spotlight. I fell in love with those trailers. I can't even begin to tell you. It was one of the few times I actually would watch a trailer repeatedly because I just loved it. I loved the jokes in the trailer. Oh, I didn't even get most of those jokes, but I still loved them. I loved Cusco. I loved Kronk. I loved Yzma. Because Pacha wasn't even really featured that much in the commercials, I remember that. It was usually just the waterfall scene. It's just like, let me guess, we're about to go over a huge waterfall. Yep. Sharp rocks at the bottom. Probably. Bring it on. Just Cusco yelling booyah as he falls down the waterfall. I'm just like, yes! The humor in this movie pretty much shaped the generation, I damn near want to say. It was so funny. Like the story of this selfish jerk. And that's honestly what we kind of loved about it to a certain degree. Like, you could really just kind of trace back one of the earliest moments of the audience at large loving a selfish jerk, like your Tony Stark or your Peter Quills or your Sterling Archer, your Rick Sanchez's, a selfish jerk, and just having the goodness slowly brought out of him, but you kind of just loved how crotchety he could be, because he's just so self-absorbed and all about himself, this emperor who has it all, and he crosses the wrong person who turns him into a friggin' llama. A llama? He's supposed to be dead! Yeah, weird. The jokes on this movie are so amazing. It is the most quotable, memeable movie possible. Like, you can damn near take any moment from this movie and it is golden. It was amazing. John Goodman as Pacha, underrated, but he's so good. David Spader, this was the one thing that just made me love David Spader, because it was like one of the few times I actually got his brand of comedy. Patrick Warburton, the thing that just helped, one of the many things that helped millions of people fall in love with Patrick Warburton. That deep baritone voice. And just his way of speaking. Like, you could tell that his character of Kronk was intelligent in certain ways, but dim-witted in others, and he just hit this middle ground where he was not just a complete and utter fuck-up overall, but he was still, he was leveled out. And Pacha, John Goodman, the good-natured villager who in order to save his village, ends up trying to bring out the kindness in Emperor Cusco, played amazingly by David Spader, and the real biggest star of the movie was Eartha Kitt, because she played Yzma so well. This woman played Yzma every way she could. You would think Eartha Kitt would have better things to do with her time, but no, she came back in every sequel, spin-off, video game to play Yzma. Bless Eartha Kitt, God rest her soul. The amazing woman. It is a crime that her song got cut from the movie, because Snuff Out the Light is a friggin' banger. Perfect World by Tom friggin' Jones is a banger. Seriously, the 2000s, I somehow low-key became a Tom Jones fan between Perfect World in this movie and the theme song to Duck Dodgers, as well as a few other songs here and there. Tom Jones can fucking get it. Also, My Funny Friend and Me by Sting. Yes. Yes. Oh my god. This was an absolutely masterclass of a movie with good animation. Not the all-time best, but the style just really grew on you over time. And just Cusco going from this crotchety kid who was put in this bad situation and then didn't understand how good he had it to just be alive, and Pacha's endless well of goodness and kindness trying to help the little shit. It was amazing, and just Cusco's one-liners and the snippy retorts and Yzma and Kronk's back and forth. Honestly, and when you had Yzma, Kronk, Cusco, and Pacha all in the same room, you're like, so much good stuff. And Pacha's family was fun. There's just so much good stuff in this movie. Whenever it was on Disney Channel, I'd watch it forward to back. Whenever I could get it on video, I'd watch it forward to back, from beginning to end, always remembering not to throw off the Emperor's Groove, because I didn't want to be thrown out of a window. Yes. Just one of those movies that didn't get to be appreciated during its time. However, just because of its home video sales, it did so well that it got a direct-to-video sequel, which honestly, for a movie that bombed as hard as it did, was a rarity. Would have loved to have seen the same kind of love for Treasure Planet, honestly, but can't have it all. And the sequel was Kronk's New Groove, which, capitalized on the fact that Kronk was the breakout hit of the movie The Emperor's New Groove, and it was okay. It's just The Emperor's New Groove just hit that sweet spot. Just had just enough of each character that none of them ever got annoying. It was so tightly written. The problem with Kronk's New Groove is the fact that it leans things so far in Kronk's direction, and he has to lift this whole movie by himself, and it's just no. Despite the fact that The Emperor's New Groove was about Cusco, it had all these other characters to help lift the weight of the entire movie. With Kronk's New Groove, it was just you placed all your bets on Kronk. Cusco was barely in it. Pacha was sparsely in it. Yzma was the main villain of the movie, of course. But even then, I didn't really care for much for her role in the movie, because it just didn't have that same feeling. everything about Kronk's New Groove felt off. And I mean, it makes sense. Nobody who worked on The Emperor's New Groove returned for this direct-to-video sequel, and it's very rare that a sequel is any good, especially a direct-to-video one, Return of Jafar withstanding. But yeah, it's just like, it was an understandable attempt by Disney, but yeah, no, the magic was there the first time, and maybe if they had brought back anybody from the first movie in terms of the production, something might have changed. It was great that they were able to get, like, pretty much the entirety of the voice cast back. It's just, it just couldn't do it. It just could not do it. And the whole idea of Kronk wanting to please his old man and having it's a love interest. It's the most overused set of tropes for a spin-off sequel movie about a side character. It is so overdone. And, the problem was, it's just like, you weren't really spinning Kronk off into his own thing. It really did feel like a side story. Maybe it would have done better as a 30-minute short, or hell, even just 10-minute short. Trim this down enough and it could have worked. But yeah, Kronk's New Groove is honestly the one that's better left forgotten. And you think that would have been the end of it. But no, there was the spin-off Disney Channel series, The Emperor's New School, where Kuzco finds out that in order to officially become the emperor of his nation, he has to finish high school, which you think that would have come up before he sat on the throne for a good long while, but that introduced a new character and Kuzco's love interest, who was okay. This was the one that just really, because there were good moments in The Emperor's New School, don't get me wrong. It was very self-aware, it was very in-jokey, funny. Kuzco would address the audience from time to time, I mean, much like the movie. Like, they really did try to play to a lot of the strengths from the original movie, and I mean, it had 2 seasons, 52 episodes, ain't nothing to sneeze at, let me be real. My only real problem with the series was that it always felt like Kuzco just dramatically regressed in a lot of ways. Like, his selfish nature, which seemed like it was fully tempered, especially by the time you got to Kronk's New Groove, was almost like it was back with a vengeance, but he could still have his more generous moment. He could. But they really played up on his selfishness still for most of its comedy in a lot of places, with his new female love interest kind of being the thing that would temper him a little bit. And of course, Yzma was back, now being once again helped by Kronk to try to sabotage Kuzco, which it walks back just everything from the series at large, to the point where I often would think, okay, is this just an alternate telling of the series as a whole? And Kuzco was forced to live with Pacha, who, it made sense, make him kind of like the dad, despite the fact that The Emperor's New Groove was more of a buddy situation, not so much a, Pacha the dad, Kuzco the son situation, but I mean, it worked well enough. I sat through like most of this series, and they burned through this series. Like, this series, I just remember so many episodes just coming out, like, pretty much all the time. Like, that first season played through, like, the entirety of a year on repeat when it first came out. The second season felt like it was played a little bit more sporadically. But overall, again, not something I would really recommend. Honestly, it's one of those things where the best parts of it are probably up on YouTube in the form of clips. It was one of those things that could get away with its very existence simply because of the fact that you were watching it on television and maybe there was nothing else good on whenever it was around. But again, it had its funny moments. It had its interesting moments. It tried to teach lessons where it could. The characters were silly, a little goofy. Honestly, people complain so much about stuff like your Teen Titans Go and your SpongeBob's being kind of around that feel like they don't really justify their existence when something better came before it. But there's so much proof that that's always kind of been a thing. There's always the inferior model, which, if you give it a chance, it might not be as inferior as you think, but it's not gonna sell anybody who really just wants to hate it. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Were you a big fan of The Emperor's New Groove? Did you actually watch it in theaters, or did you just own it on DVD, that arcane method? Or did you simply watch it when it came out on Disney Channel? Did you watch Kronk's New Groove? Were you actually invested in that movie? That'd be fascinating to hear. And are you a big supporter of The Emperor's New School? I know it had some of its really deep fans, honestly. And to a certain degree, I understand why. It just has a certain kind of appeal to it. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notification. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'll see you in the next video. And remember, don't throw off the Emperor's Groove.